They are not backing off of overpowered. They are bringing it to PvE. This is an article here which, a lot of people are like, what are they doing with overpowered? Are they going to reverse it? Are they going to tone it back? No, they're moving forward. That's the whole point of this. And I got to just say that I think the reason why overpowered feels much different than other progression systems, because I got to say, I've played a lot of games like this, and there were progression systems brought into the game, and it's because the progression systems were additive. For example, if a new upgrade mechanic, and I don't know, let's call it relics or artifacts or whatever, it's, there's some sort of way of earning it or spending more. Usually, like when they come out with a new progression system in a game, they give you a little bit, they give everybody a little bit so you can experience that it's good. And then, of course, the spenders can purchase a lot more. And so what happens is I go into battle against somebody that spent a lot of money, and I can see that they spent a lot of money. And I was like, wow, they just upgraded more than me. They got more, they earned more, or whatever, right? And I lost. It's a pay to win game. The game's always been pay to win. I feel like something different is happening here. And I'll give you an example. Like, what if they came out with a 4th diamond? And if the 4th diamond was 50% extra damage, right? And as long as you had a 3 diamond, you could go to a 4 diamond. Yeah, they'll give you a couple, but then the spenders could just flush lots of money and buy the 4th diamond, get 50%. That's an additive system. What overpowered is, it is actually like subtractive. My roster is shittier now because of overpowered. I have to upgrade She-Hulk to make my Gamma work. I don't want to upgrade my She-Hulk. You made my teams worse. And this comes down to like a general philosophy when it comes to mobile games. Buffs good, nerfs bad. And not everybody agrees with that, but some games it's apparent. Generally, buffs feel good, nerfs feel bad. Boosting 4 diamonds to 50% damage is additive. It's a buff, if you will, where overpowered is a nerf. It feels like a percentage of my roster is not nearly as effective as it once was, and it feels bad. Specifically, this is, exaggerated inside of game modes like Alliance War, where there's a lot more characters required. And what I'm finding is that teams that used to work last week don't work anymore unless I choose to upgrade them. And I don't want to upgrade new Avengers or new Warriors or Gamma or Nowhere, whatever. Like, I don't mind upgrading my Odin. That feels good. But do I want to upgrade my She-Hulk? I don't want to do it. There's something about the way that this is implemented. It feels like a nerf. And what's wild about this is that they've pissed off a large percentage of the player base, not everybody, but a large percentage of the player base, and they didn't even directly monetize it. They effectively just like infuriated a percentage of the player base without monetizing it, where if they came out with 4 diamonds and charged everybody for it, yeah, that would piss people off. But it'd be a smaller percentage, or let's just make the assumption that it pissed off the same number of people. They would have extracted more money. They at least would have made money. This is why it doesn't even make sense from a business sense. I just can't wrap my head around this. Anyways, let's read what the post is. Thanks for letting me rant. The next step for overpowered PvE. The next step of overpowered rollout is underway with the introduction of overpowered and PvE content. Our goals remains clear: to make sure your character progression and upgrades pay off even more in PvE battles. Wow. Continue to advance your ISO levels and gear will help you experience this power for yourself and also help to tip the scales against Annihilus. We have seen much of the feedback from the community on overpowered PvP, and we're moving forward with bringing more overpowered to PvE, and we'll continue to monitor the data to see if any changes need to be made. System will work the same way as we outlined in our overpowered blog, so expect the same visual appearance and combat bonuses. Here's how overpowered will arrive and make an impact in PvE modes. Now, let's go back to this buff and nerf thing. Now, we're going to read how this is going to work in PvE. There's nothing additive to this. There's nothing that's going to buff. There's nothing that's going to help the player base get through older content faster. There's nothing additive. It's just something that's going to be added to new game modes, which they haven't decided yet, which I don't understand why they need overpowered to do this. So like if they need bad guy here to do 50% more damage, we'll just give him 50% more damage. They don't need overpowered to do that. This doesn't help any existing content, so it's really strange to me. First step, showcases and blitz. Thunderbolts, Showcase, and Blitz will be the first opportunities to experience PvE overpowered in action. Initially, only Tier 1 overpowered bonuses will be active, with higher levels coming later. We'll keep you updated exactly when the new tiers unlock in first part. So, to keep battles fair and fun, Blitz enemy overpower will never exceed a player's obtainable rank. After the Thunderbolt Showcase, all future showcases will feature overpowered system, giving you plenty of chances to see your overpowered up roster shine. So, what this means right here is that typically when you get into the higher levels of Blitz, like 8.3, you will see teams that are not currently at levels that can be acquired in game. For example, quite often before gear tier 22 is out or level 105, when you get to the higher levels of Blitz, you will come across teams that have those levels. So what they're saying is that if that does happen, it won't exceed the current level, which is 11. The maximum level of overpowered currently is 11, and they're going to cap it at 11. Okay, looking ahead, overpowered in new PvE content. In the future, more PvE content will include overpowered game modes and events that are already active, like Spotlight and Chaotic Storm Raids. Dark Dimension and campaigns remain unchanged. However, new raids and game modes will utilize overpower. Okay, continue. Monitor the community's feedback. And so far, we're not doing anything. We're ignoring it and overpowered performance to ensure we're hitting our stated goal. I don't know what their stated goal is. I have no idea. All your hard work is reflected in battle. So let's talk about this additive subtractive thing. So I played Raid Shadow Legends. I've got a whole Raid Shadow Legends channel. They sponsor me, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is that they came out with a new progression system, and it was well received by the community because it was additive, because it was perceived as a buff and a bonus, and it felt good. And it wasn't lazy. Like, it was actually creative and added value. It wasn't just like some like flip a switch and something happens. There was new gameplay mechanics, new progression systems, and they also gave the community a brand new game mode surrounded with it, which was a lot of fun. And it was like a very creative Chimera boss battle that had 4 modes. Every 5 turns, he turned into another form, and then the gameplay changed, and it was like a real trick. In-game players had a hard time with it. New players felt it was like fun. I'm a newer player, and I was like, hey, this is cool. I actually had to think about it and figure out how to get my team to work well with it. So the relic system comes out, and it feels good, and the community celebrates it. Why? Because it helped everybody in the game beat existing bosses and existing PvE. I mean, imagine in Marvel Strike Force, there was Null, and Null was this massive boss, and you got rewards by hitting certain thresholds, and maybe there was a leaderboard or something like that. Overpowered comes to the game, you earn it in some sort of meaningful way where you feel like you deserve it, or maybe like some players, you buy it, right? That's always an option too. They usually give the community a certain amount, and then other players can do certain things to get more, but you apply it to your character, and you're like, wow, I can do X amount more damage. I feel good about this. Nothing like that happened with overpowered at all. Nothing like that happened. Definitely not in PvE. That's not happening here in this. This is basically not affecting anything that's existing in the game. We don't even have real PvE in this game. It's not like this will help us defeat Null faster or Null better or get more points, or Most people don't even care about beating null. Like, what's the point? It's just like you go in with astral and you hit auto. I mean, it doesn't even like matter at all. Like, there was nothing additive to this system. In fact, it's not going to change anything that's currently in the game, and they're going to redesign new content about it. They don't need overpowered to do that. If they want to give a character 50% more damage, they could just do that. They could make them, they give them preloaded turn meter all the time. They can build it any way they want without overpowered. The only thing that this post is saying is we're moving forward with overpowered. That's the only thing this post is saying is like, yeah. We created this new, I don't know what the right word is, new progression system that is essentially a nerf to large parts of people's rosters. And it's not additive. It's not a buff that can be acquired or purchased. And I can't wrap my head around, like I've always felt in the past, like when they introduce progression systems, it's like part of me like takes a step back and says, from like a developer's point of view, okay, this was a calculated risk. We knew that by introducing this new progression system, we were going to push out and piss off a certain percentage of the community, but we were going to make X amount of dollars because of that. I don't see this overpowered system doing that, other than the problem that they created where there was no reason to buy anything. I feel like 18 months ago, whatever, they had this like forward-looking plan that was dependent on Battle World playing out a certain way. They had this 18-month plan dependent and monetization plan perhaps on moments, and neither of those things worked out. And then what happened, like I said, this is a self-imposed crisis where there was nothing to buy. And I'll give you an example, and not everybody's going to agree with this because I don't think everybody's had this experience where I've been playing this game for a while, right? And I've been on the same arena shard, and I've played a certain way, and I spend a certain amount, and I have not dropped or got pushed back to 50 in a long time. On my arena shard, I would end the day at 1, I'd wake up in the morning and be at 55 or 50. And now look at that from a spender's point of view. If I wanted to spend a lot of money to ensure that I could stay at number 1 or number top 10, I couldn't. There was nothing to upgrade, nothing to do, no new characters to get. Everybody had the same thing. Everybody has the same roster. Everybody can beat everyone. And that is nobody's fault but Scopely, because when that happens, does it matter for the spender? Why would the spender spend? They created this situation where spenders had nothing to buy, no incentive to buy. Maybe it's because they had a plan and it didn't work out, and they're scrambling to fix that problem. And the answer to that problem was overpowered. And I don't know why they didn't, it just doesn't even seem very creative. There's no value added at all. It's just like so simplistic. I don't get it. Anyways, that's my video. Bye.